You've been fed the same line your whole life: talk it out, communicate, express your feelings, be honest and transparent. You've been told that silence is immature, that disappearing is cruel, that if you want to be respected, you need to explain yourself. But let's break the game wide open, because all that advice is designed for men who want to be liked, not respected. And there's a difference. The brutal truth: sometimes silence says more than words ever could. And in the world of dating, ghosting, when done from strength, not emotion, is one of the most psychologically and powerful moves a man can make. It's not about being rude or trying to manipulate. It's about cutting through the noise, flipping the script, and walking away from a dynamic that's no longer serving you. When you ghost a woman after she disrespects you, flakes, pulls back, or tests your value, you're not being immature, you're being decisive. You're saying without ever opening your mouth you had access, now it's gone. And that silence, that absence, it becomes the loudest message she'll ever hear. Because women don't respond to lectures, they respond to emotional shifts. They feel when the energy is gone. They notice when the validation dries up. And suddenly, your silence becomes the one thing she can't ignore. Ghosting triggers something primal in her psychology. A sudden void appears where your attention used to be. And it's not just the lack of texts or calls, it's the removal of certainty. Most women are used to men chasing, over-explaining, reacting. Are used to being the center of a man's focus. So when you walk away without a word, you disrupt her entire emotional rhythm. That mystery, that unpredictability, becomes obsession. Because now, instead of reading your texts, she's reading your silence. Instead of scrolling through conversations, she's scrolling through her own memories, trying to figure out where she lost you. You didn't plead, you didn't fight. You didn't give her the satisfaction of watching you unravel. You just vanished. And that kind of emotional detachment? That's power. Because now she's the one chasing. She's the one questioning. She's the one sitting in discomfort. Not because you hurt her, but because you stopped giving her what she took for granted. Your presence, your attention, your energy. And in a world full of men trying to be heard, the man who doesn't speak at all becomes unforgettable. Understand something: this isn't about hurting her. This isn't about ego or revenge. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't feel the need to defend it. It's about walking away from confusion, disrespect, or low effort without making a scene. Just because she expected you to fight doesn't mean you have to. Sometimes the real strength isn't in the battle. It's in the calm, calculated silence that follows. The kind that haunts her. The kind she never saw coming. That's how a man reclaims his power. By saying nothing and meaning it. Most men don't truly understand the psychology behind ghosting. They think it's just a tactic, a way to punish or confuse. But when done from a place of grounded strength, ghosting isn't about confusion at all. It's about clarity. It's about making a final, silent decision that communicates more powerfully than 1,000 words ever could. Women operate on emotional frequencies, not logical exchanges. And when you disappear after she's pulled back, disrespected you, or played games, what you're really doing is severing the emotional thread that kept you tied to her energy. You're saying, I no longer invest in someone who devalues my presence. That move shifts everything. It flips the dynamic. Because women are not wired to value what is overly available. They crave what they can't quite pin down. What makes them feel uncertain. What sparks a sense of emotional urgency. When you're always there, always texting, always explaining, you're giving her certainty. And certainty is boring to the feminine mind. But when you remove that, when you become the variable, instead of the constant, she's forced to react emotionally. That emotional disruption is the very thing that keeps her thinking about you long after the last text. Ghosting works because it leaves a gap, an open loop in her mind, a story without an ending. And our brains hate unfinished stories. She starts wondering, was it me? Did I mess up? Did he meet someone else? That emotional discomfort makes her replay every interaction, overanalyze every word, stalk your social media, and scan for clues. That's not manipulation. That's natural. Psychology. You've taken your energy out of her orbit, and now her mind is desperately trying to pull it back in. And the more calm you are in your absence, the more powerful the effect becomes. But let's be clear, this only works when it comes from emotional discipline. If you ghost out of insecurity, fear, or revenge, you're not in control. You're reacting. But when you ghost because you've recognized that your value isn't being met with respect, that the energy exchange has become lopsided, you are making a move from pure self-respect. And that kind of detachment is rare. That's why it stands out. That's why it hits so hard. It's because most men don't have the strength to walk away without drama. They explain, they plead, they argue. And women expect that. But the man who vanishes, the one who simply cuts off the energy and keeps moving forward, that man haunts her. She may act unbothered. She may post as if she's living her best life. But internally she feels the vacuum you left behind. And the longer you stay gone, the louder your silence becomes. It begins to represent something. Power, peace, mystery, and suddenly, she's not thinking about what you said. She's fixated on what you didn't. That's the kind of impression that lingers. And in a world filled with men trying to prove themselves, the man who proves nothing at all becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. The reason ghosting hits different isn't just because you disappear, it's because of how you disappear. Most men fail at this. They ghost from weakness, from pain, from a desire to hurt her or get a reaction. It's not power, that's a tantrum, and women can feel it. They know when a man goes silent out of emotional immaturity versus when a man walks away with calm detachment. One repels them, the other pulls them in. So if you're going to ghost, you need to ghost like a king, not a boy. A man with real value doesn't ghost to provoke. He ghosts because he's uninterested. In disrespect, he doesn't announce his exit. He doesn't leave a dramatic message. He just pulls back his energy, fully, quietly, completely. That's when ghosting becomes magnetic because it's rooted in self-worth, not spite. You're not trying to win or teach her a lesson. You're simply done. You saw her flake, test, or pull back. And instead of chasing or explaining, you just disappeared. And that's a move she never expected. You need to understand something crucial. Unpredictability is attractive to the feminine. When a woman can read you like a book when she knows you'll text back, show up, explain yourself, she loses that sense of emotional excitement. But when you suddenly shift, when your presence turns into absence, her emotional system lights up. You've disrupted her pattern, and pattern disruption is what keeps her emotionally hooked. She may pretend she's unaffected, but the moment she notices your silence, she starts spiraling. Why did he pull away? Where did he go? Did I lose him? The man who ghosts from strength doesn't block her, doesn't curse her out, doesn't write long emotional texts, just vanishes. And that void, it becomes a mirror. She's forced to sit with her own behavior. You're not explaining why. She messed up. You're not asking for more. You're not begging to be seen. You're just done. And that kind of closure-less ending leaves her emotionally off balance. Most women are used to men fighting for them. She expected you to react. She expected you to chase. And when you didn't, it threw her entire frame off balance. But here's the real power move. When you ghost with peace. When you're not angry, not emotional, not vengeful. You're simply uninterested in entertaining low-value behavior. When ghosting becomes high-level masculine energy, because it shows her that your presence is earned and not given freely, it shows her that once you sense the energy shift, you don't wait around. You don't try to fix what you didn't break. You exit with dignity. That level of detachment, that's what women remember. Not your words, not your explanations. They remember how it felt when your energy disappeared without warning. It's clean, it's sharp, it's unforgettable. And in a dating world full of men who chase, beg, and talk too much, the man who can ghost from strength becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. Women are wired for emotional pattern recognition. They feel shifts in energy before they even realize it consciously. So when you ghost after she starts pulling back, testing you, or treating you like an option. What you're doing is flipping her emotional script. You're changing the rhythm. She expected one reaction, convincing, explaining, and you gave her the opposite. You removed your presence entirely. That break in her emotional pattern, it forces her to confront the consequences of her actions in a way no conversation ever could. See, most women never outright reject you. Instead, they create distance. Shorter replies, delayed texts, dry energy. They want to see what you'll do. Will you chase harder? Will you double down on effort? Will you fight to win her back? Most men do exactly that. They cling harder, hoping that more effort equals more love. But when you ghost, you send a completely different message. I'm not here to chase someone who's unsure. That silent move immediately separates you from the crowd of needy men who beg for Clar.